Hello, welcome back to the Spirit of Watercolor. Linda's back from vacation, and yeah, I went to Holland, Michigan with my husband for a few days. We wanted to catch those tulips before they went away, and we were just in the nick of time, and I've taken tons of photographs of these beautiful flowers, all different colors of tulips, and some that kind of come up like hourglass. We're gonna paint some, okay? I think we should, because they're such an amazing, beautiful flower, and they're here for this short period of time in spring to tell us it's spring. And I'm going to pick the most colorful ones I can, because I've been, as you know, if you look back at the video we just finished about abstract landscape with bold and free-flowing paints of watercolor. Check those out if you haven't, right? I did a couple. And I want to continue that bright, bold colors, some flowing background, and get these paintings to show the beauty that I experienced. You know, watercolor is a wonderful medium. As you know, I call it very spiritual, and it is. It's where you connect with your world, and then you translate it from your impressions, right? And then it comes out onto the paper, and then others can experience the emotions you felt, the colors you saw, whatever it is that you're enjoying in nature or people or whatever it is that you love to paint. Many subjects I have, as you know, and you may too. So let's go to the table. We're going to start some tulips that I think I'm going to start with are the purples. I love vibrant, beautiful purples, and I have never seen tulips like this before. And the ones I was most drawn to were the tulips that had white and then they had color, so you can use that graduated wash. So let's do some of that and get those paints a-flowing and play some music and enjoy this beautiful time of year. I mean, it's not even dark yet, and it's what, 7:30? It'll probably be light out until almost 9 o'clock. And so actually painting is easier now at this time of day than it was. I might take advantage of that this week. I'm a little behind, so I'm going to try to catch up with y'all. And please join me on the table real soon. Okay, let's go. I'll show you the photograph that I'm going to use, and then we'll draw it up and get it going and flowing. Okay. Okay, so if you use your tablet, and I cropped the part of the purple tulips that I wanted, okay, and I will put it, you know, about as... The nice thing about drawing from here is I can bring this up larger to get details, or smaller, which is what I've been doing, and then I've been drawing here. And I've done it on a vertical paper as opposed to horizontal like that. I just thought that might be a nice composition where these tulips are coming up out of the ground, and then there's some of the white ones that were also mixed in with the purple flowers. I'm just putting some of those up there. I'm going to be doing wet on wet washes behind, so I'm not filling in all those details here. I may take some masking fluid. I probably will. And I'll get back to the painting afterwards. But there's little like earth, you know, things on the ground, leaves and dead grasses, and then there's the irises, and I may take an outline, some of that with the white masking fluid to hold it, and maybe around some of these flowers, but these whites here are going to just be maintained most likely through just maintaining those whites, you know, just painting around them. You can, if you want to secure that, you know, use masking fluid there. But that's how I'm doing it. I'm trying this. It's a little different. I'm out in my kitchen dining room right now, trying this here to, you know, draw from this over to my really nice paper here. And then we'll go to the table and we'll start to apply those beautiful, intense rich colors and let things flow and go. But we do have a lot of information here. You don't really need to draw this much if you don't wish. I have a friend who just, you know, just draws it on with the paint. I tend to like to have some drawing. You can put as much detail in drawing or as little as you want. You can leave the pencil and or erase with the Magic Rub eraser, which is really, really good. I also have a more detailed eraser. It's a pencil eraser that you sharpen. You can sharpen both ends if you like. This one just has one end. And then I use a number like 4 pencil, I think it is. Yeah, and number 4, and then that's lighter lines, and it's still soft pencil, but it's lighter than the like 9, which is this one, which is much darker, and it's a much softer line. Maybe that the number 3 or 4 pencil is the easiest to erase, and I have been erasing more than I wished I had, but on the paper it's okay, and you use the erasers that work best with watercolor paper, which again, I love the Magic Rub, and I like these pencil erasers you can just find in order as well. Okay, so here on my it's charging. My tablet downstairs is my old one. The colors are more accurate than you saw when I was drawing. That was probably the wrong photo I used for drawing. And this is where we were at with these deep, deep purples, and these beautiful white flowers behind. And so I've used masking fluid here on my painting, my paper, and I've been loading my palette, waiting for this to dry, and I'm trying to decide which purples. I've got 3 beautiful purples, Amethyst, Windsor Violet. The Amethyst Genuine is Daniel Smith, and then Windsor Newton Violet, and Carbazole Violet, which is my Daniel Smith, which is the deepest one. I think it looks most like the flowers. But as these dry, I'm going to go and do some washes behind. The ground on the painting is kind of gray, but I may go into an earth tone. I've got a beautiful Primatech paints, which I want to put some in. The hematite is more of a browny, granulating kind of thing I could put around the bottom. And then of course the greens, I have various Daniel Smith greens, and I have a beautiful Jadeite Genuine, which is another Primatech. So I thought I'd pull in some of those. I haven't talked much about those. Those are mineral watercolors, and they're very granulating, many of them, but they're basically just crushed minerals from the earth to create the pigments. So they're much more natural, and they're sometimes not as intense in color. So it depends what you're trying to achieve. If I'm trying to achieve an earthy look here, I might go with the hematite and try that, or I might go with, actually I was debating with some kind of yellows back there to create the grounds, and maybe even mix it with that hematite just to do a contrast to the purples, which might make, contrasting colors make things pop more. So if you want that, we could try that as well. I just found my hematite Genuine. I'm going to put that somewhere on my palette, and then we'll oops, that's not the palette I want. Right here, I'm going to add it down in there somewhere. These get really dry, these, though I've capped them tightly. I don't know what happens there, but these, some of these granulating ones get very dry. So maybe it's good to buy the smaller 5 milliliter tubes, because they don't, they might get too dry if you don't use them quite frequently. Taking my flat brush now, we're going to get some water on the paper. There is some, you can tell that the masking fluid's dry when it gets to a more yellow color, this one that I have. It looks more white, like there's a droplet there that's perhaps not dry yet. So what I want to do, I always do this with my palette. Bobbing around here. Let's get this steady. Okay. I like that 30-degree angle, so I put something underneath my board, and then we start to add our water again like we were doing before. And we come around the flowers to work on the earth. There's masking fluid for some leaves and some little grasses and things on the ground here. So I'm just going to wet this all up here under this flower. Those tulips were so beautiful, and I'm not sure if I can recreate them here, but I mean exactly like what I saw. But you'll get some of my experience, my emotions, and my expressions of what I felt that always just happens when you're painting something. If you were most excited by the color, you'll paint more color. You know, if it's a moody something, oops, don't put it in the flower. You may create moody colors, you know. It was a bright and beautiful day. We weren't expecting it there. We didn't know what to expect. It got to be pretty warm and sunny. And it was spring, so we had rain coming in and out when we were there as well. Anyway, so now I'm going to come in with some of the background here and wash that in. I have some beautiful yellow here too. You know, with watercolor, we want to often put our lightest values down first, and then we can add our darker values. I find this beautiful Sennelier yellow that's still on my palette. This is palette number 2. I have a lot of unusual, not my typical palette on there. I really like the idea, the more I think about it, of adding some pretty vibrant yellow into the background here. And then I will soften it up a bit, but I'm kind of going for vibrant in this painting. I'm hoping that my stems are being held up by yeah, I like this. I may add some of that hematite in also. I'm trying to avoid my flower. So far I've been okay. I'm so excited to get started painting again. But you gotta slow down enough to think about what you're doing, Linda. And yeah. Okay, now we're getting some gorgeous background in. Now that you know that those beautiful stems of the tulips, the leaves of the tulips are green, so yellow, and you know I can add more green over top of these yellows if I wish, right? All right, let's just bring some of this in, blend it out a little, and it's going to make those tulips pop a little more because I'm going to have this contrasting color. Now see, I have control over, oops, the colors I use. I think I still avoided my flowers, let's hope. As you know, my eyes can be a little tricky, and I don't want to get in the painting, so as usual I'll come in with a smaller brush around the flowers here to get some of that color in. There we go. And move some of that around. There we go. All right. Again, I want this kind of soft. I should use another paper towel. That one's got all kinds of masking fluid and so on it, but I think we're okay. The masking fluid's already blocking out some of the marks I made and the spatters and so on there. And then, yeah, we can come around these other flowers up here a little bit too. At the top. I can let this color soften as it goes up. And I'm going to still come in and maybe some wet on wet for the stems and maybe more detailed. I'm not sure yet, but I just want to get some pretty colors in there. In fact, I think I'm going to do a little bit of flowing of 2 colors now. I'd like to bring in some of that hematite now, which is this very granular. Look how dry it is. It may mix with my sienna, which is like a browny orange, and I'm okay with that because it's kind of all earth colors. Wow, is that stuff ever stiff? I don't know. You'll see granulations when I add this in. Okay. Ooh, all right, yeah. You see that? What's going on there? And I'll still have my yellows to space for my stems and so forth. Because I didn't draw in my stems because my idea, ooh, I really like that. I didn't really decide where my stems are going to be. They're just going to come in wherever I decide here, I believe. As you can see, I've added a lot more yellow, and I like it. It's a very bright Sennelier. I might even be their lemon yellow. It's gorgeous. I'll check that color, but I might want to add more of that, but I'm going to add some of the greens now because I do have a need to put in pretty soon. Let's get this back up. How do I do that? And yeah, I'm trying to maintain my white flowers. And then I need some of these beautiful green shoots or stems, the big leaves that come up. That's another thing. What are the names of these beautiful big green stems that are coming up, right? Okay, well, I've got some of the dark here, but where I see light, I'm gonna put in some greens. My Viridian green is a blue green, and that might be really good to come in because some of these are more of in the yellow green realm. Actually, I don't see that much. It's more of almost, they're all like light and blue, greens that are more toward the cool side. So, let's go. As the painting is drying, I'm just going more and more around, the flowers and getting a little more close, so I'm outlining the flowers a little more carefully. And I'm adding a little more color, around them as well. And those stems and so forth here, as they dry, I can come in a little more detailed, as I said. So I may, sometimes create more of a stem with some of these drips and pours of paint. It's still kind of going that way. And I'm enjoying it. It's very lovely, and I'm going to leave it and let it dry because we want to see that we don't overblend. Okay, so it's drying more and more, and I'm really wanting to put more of this intense green. I have a Jadeite Genuine I mentioned. It's, that is jade green. Woo! Okay, I just put that on. I'm going to try to create a little more definition here as this is drying. So we're back to our painting now. I took off the masking fluid, and I had a lot on there. And is that yellow background bright? But I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'm going to come in now with my purple. I'm going to use Winsor Violet just mainly, I think because my carbazole, I'm not finding my tube here. The Winsor Violet is beautiful. And then I've got So there's that. And then over here, this is the top of my John Pike palette, so I have a lot of room to spread the paints. I also have quinacridone rose. If you look at this, you'll see some pink or reddish pink in the flower as it kind of fades up toward the white from the deep purple, okay? And I also put out a couple others because I'm not absolutely sure how close that's going to be. There's this Rhodonite Genuine, another Primatech, another mineral paint, very similar. Here, let me spread these out. Very similar to the Quin Rose, I believe, in color. It's going to act a little differently, but it's also a very beautiful pinky red. Here's the Quin Rose. That's really intense, which might be what we want. I also put out this. Now this is a little more purple. It's the Quinacridone Magenta. These are all Daniel Smith. Beautiful colors. So I'm going to kind of decide as I go. And I've got this deep purple. It's kind of a transparent purple. And I'm debating, I think I want to blend. And again, my painting doesn't have to exactly replicate what I'm seeing. If that's what you want, then you want to play around with your colors and go to your sketchbook and see if you can get the colors as accurate as possible. I'm inspired by the beauty of the richness of this. If I can get something like that, it doesn't, to me, have to be exact. I want it close. So I think I'm going to mix a little bit. And this is intuitive. I've been painting for years. Oops, it's getting fading out. It becomes more intuitive with time. You just have to keep learning and mixing and trying things. Put them on your, like I say, sketch paper, and then you can go to as you understand your paints and what the colors are more and more. You can start to get more accurate color. Put lots of paint on there. That's a beautiful, deep, rich color. It's almost the color I want. I'm going to add a little bit of this purpley magenta in there just to see what happens. Yeah, you have to be willing to experiment a little. It might get a little redder. So if that's what I want, I have to add a lot more color, okay? Because otherwise, I don't have that deep, rich color. Mixing, you have to, again, we have to get bold. We want these colors bold, right? I'm going to bring those together because what I'm liking is the way the flower graduates, slightly from this deep, rich purple into this pinkish purple color. And I think I'm kind of, because I haven't used my magenta a lot, I kind of want to see what it does. Okay, now I'm going to go in and we're just going to paint. We're going to paint the colors here. I may not talk a lot because I want to just get in there and get that color going. I'm going to add a little wet on wet to these petals. And then we're going to come in here and, let that paint flow like we were doing. I don't know where to set this because the one thing about tablets are you might have to touch it from time to time so it doesn't fade away the picture on me as a reference. Okay. All right. Off we go. I'm going to start to put that in. And then, of course, we have to make decisions on, where our grasses are going to be if we need more detail down here and so on. We'll get there when we get there. Okay. All right, so let's start to think about these colors. I've got my favorite brush, and I may talk as I go, and it may or may not be that I'll speed it up, and then you won't hear me talking, depending how important it is, what I'm saying, and if you need to hear it, or if I think it's helpful for you to hear what I'm talking about as I'm painting. So let's just start with an area. Okay, I want to maintain some whites there, right? But I want to get that rich purple going in there. Okay. As you know, my eyes aren't so great, so my head may end up in here from time to time. And I will apologize ahead of time for that. And if you just want to play with an area here and there and see what you think, and then you can let that dry and continue on, that's totally fine. I'm using my pointed round, which I love for accuracy here. And that is pretty deep. I may go a little bluer in here. Bring it in. When I say bluer, I mean it's not as mixed at the bottom of the purple there. So I'm going to try to get that rich, deep purple. And then as it kind of fades out, I'll add a little bit of water. I think this could be a very vibrant painting as I get finished. There. You see? Yeah. We don't want to play in that too much. You lose your freshness or you lose the lines that you're making. Okay. Yeah, that's going to be a very vibrant painting as it turns out. That is just pretty purple there. I don't really see any of the pinkish reddish in there at this point. I can fade this out a little as it goes to this side, just to add a little depth to it. Okay. Yeah, so we have, you know, these two purple flowers here in the foreground, which are beautiful. We can play with the petal here and there and just see what we get here. I'm bumping my palette there. Yeah. I'm always going to start with the deepest purple that's not quite as mixed. And then go from there. If I touch this, is it? Okay. So we'll just paint now. I was going to just do some wetting of the areas to let those paints flow a little here. Okay. I think I have to use another brush that's clear. That one's holding my paint pretty well. Okay, let's try this little flat brush here. You see, those graduated washes add a lot of interest. They can have a little color in it, and then you can add more as you go. Yeah. I think this is going to be a really vibrant painting, which is really the goal that I had as well. It's kind of graduating there, and I like it. Remember, this is watercolor. I'm not trying to do photography. Oh, I'm getting pretty close to the color that I want. So far, so good. Okay, it's gotten very intense and I had some problems, but I'm back because I wanted to show, at least we have vibrant colors very close to what we wanted. I got a little struggle in there. I should have started with a big flat brush and brought those colors in instead of the smaller brush. But I'm going to prevail, and again, I always say, if you don't like what's happening, you know, make it a sketch. Now I come in here because my brush was too big here. Brush size really does make a difference for me. I don't know about for everyone else. But these are wet on wet with some white over the what got to be too pinkish. And I'm just going to bring in a few lines here to define the tulips because they just had a few sort of shapes here, you know, just defining the white flower, and then there was a little bit of pink just kind of coming in around in here in the bottom and kind of heading up into the top petals. So we can do that here while this is wet and let that happen. I like it a little bit wet on wet flowing here up to the top and defining our pinkish. Didn't really go all the way up, but it helps me to define the flower a little bit. Okay, and here I'm letting this dry because I got too wet and then I had to let the purples dry, but I do like the vibrancy. I came in with some yellow ochre down in the here to add some definition to the line work here, and there's still a leaf here that I may do in ochre or a brown, like a brown leaf, and maybe some other little grasses and leaves down there. That actually, I like that idea. Okay, so I've been adding more and more paint, and I kind of had to stop because I had to get close. I realized that this has, and I'm still trying, I'll have to clean up this edge. It got too wet, so, but I think overall it's kind of a pleasing painting. I've gotten these better controlled now. I really lost my pinks. I got too much in there. Bigger brush, smaller brush for those little things. Even though they're wet on wet, you know, I wanted to have a little fine lines that went wet. And then here, like I said, I put in some of these quin orange and yellow ochre to kind of go back into where these white masking fluid lines are. And the purple is vibrant like I liked. It's a little not as loose and free flowing as I wanted, but again, you can always go back in and do some more, you know, or redo this, you know, resketch and reapply. I may find this finishes up nicely for me. Let's bring it up like this. And, you know, I may need to redo it. I do like what's happening overall. It's just a matter of, is it going to stay fresh and clean, which is what I like. Some people like to really get more controlled, and that's what was happening there for me, but I'm going to not lose faith in what's been going on here. I like it. And we'll see how this dries up, and if I can kind of, you know, bring that edge to a little more definition and some whites in here, and you know, just define these petals a little bit better without losing the fresh. It is pretty fresh and vibrant actually when I look at it now. So not completely what I had in mind, but it never is. Okay. So I hope you enjoyed the video. It's really a pleasure to get to the table with you, and I have really found this to be a vibrant painting. It's pretty much finished. I have a little more to do here. Very vibrant, a little different style than I was expecting because those intensities of color. But I wanted to push that. I got a little tighter, like I mentioned before. I like to be more loose, but in order to get this strong of color, I think I'll have to, maybe like I said, you can call this a sketch when it's not exactly what you hoped for. I didn't get loose enough in there. I could have used a bigger brush, a little more water. So I might do it again, but for now, we've got a very vibrant, exploring painting, and I really enjoy doing it. I'll put it up behind me so you can see how it looks, in a finished form, and I may still work on it a little more. I lost a little bit of definition of the white, which is very easy to do. I know a lot of people I hear struggle with this. That's when I used the masking fluid to maintain whites here, and did overall. I could have put more in the flowers, and that's what I think that I could do next time to hold those whites for me. And I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope that you will keep coming back. Now we're moving into summer, so let's think about what we want to paint as we move forward. I know a lot of people like these more abstracted videos I've been doing, so I can pull in that direction as well. I do want to talk about details. As I mentioned, I have a book on painting watercolor details. It's not what you might think. It doesn't mean drawing in every little thing. It means how to create textures and details using watercolor effects, and it's something worth exploring, and textures and things like hair and peach fuzz. There's just so many different things to look at, right? But also we want to just enjoy doing some loose, fun paintings together and get into a state of enrichment and joy, right? So keep coming back. I'll let you know soon what our next video is going to be. I'm really happy that we were able to do this together today, and I hope that you'll keep joining me. Thank you for the new subscribers as well, and those of you that have been joining me, please keep coming back. I really enjoy sharing with you, and it helps me. It makes me work harder to be a better artist myself and keep growing and learning. It's a spiritual journey, and I'm glad that we're doing this together. So keep coming back. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.